The great warship Eternal Dominion hung in the void like a metal mountain, its hull stretching for miles in every direction. Inside the massive command center, Admiral Krextal stood before a holographic display showing a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. His forearms moved across the control panel with practiced ease while his 6 eyes studied the data. "This is the target?" he asked, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered worlds. "Yes, Admiral," replied his aide, a younger, Zephyrian whose scales still held their bright purple color. "The planet is called Earth by its inhabitants. Our last survey was conducted 50 rotations ago." Admiral Krextal's mandibles clicked together in what his species considered laughter. 50 rotations was nothing in galactic terms. These primitive creatures could not have advanced much in such a short time. The holographic display showed images from the old survey. Crude metal vehicles rolling on wheels. Primitive aircraft that burned chemical fuel to fly. Basic electromagnetic signals carrying simple communications. The inhabitants were bipedal mammals who had barely learned to leave their planet's surface. They still use chemical rockets to reach their own moon, the aide continued. Their most advanced weapons are explosive devices that release atomic energy, very basic technology. Admiral Krextal studied the data with growing confidence. In his 3,000 years of military service, he had conquered 17 star systems. Each victory had been glorious. Each enemy crushed beneath the might of the Zephyrian Empire. This Earth would be no different. The Zephyrian Empire was the greatest military force in the known galaxy. Their technology was ancient and refined. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields could deflect the energy of stars. Their fleet, numbered in the millions, spread across dozens of worlds. "How many ships do you recommend for this conquest?" Admiral Krextal asked. His aide consulted his datapad. "For a primitive civilization like this, perhaps 100 vessels would be sufficient. Maybe less." The Admiral's eyes glowed with ambition. This conquest would be remembered throughout the Empire. The primitive humans would provide excellent slave labor for the mining colonies. Their planet was rich in water and organic compounds, perfect for supporting Zephyrian outposts. "No," he said finally. "We will take 50,000 ships." The aide's scales shifted to a lighter shade, showing surprise. "Admiral, that seems like excessive force for such a primitive world." "I want this conquest to be remembered forever," Admiral Krextal declared. "When the history of the Empire is written, they will speak of the day 50,000 ships descended upon Earth. It will be the greatest show of force ever assembled." The aide bowed his head in submission. "As you command, Admiral." Within hours, orders went out across the Empire. 50,000 of the most advanced warships ever built began moving toward a gathering point in deep space. Each ship was a masterpiece of destruction. The smallest vessels were a mile long and carried weapons that could level cities. The largest dreadnoughts were floating fortresses that could destroy entire continents. The fleet assembled over several days. Ship after ship dropped out of hyperspace at the meeting point, until the empty region of space glowed with the lights of thousands of vessels. The formation stretched for hundreds of miles in every direction. Admiral Krextal stood on the command bridge of the Eternal Dominion, watching his fleet take shape. Each ship represented centuries of technological advancement. Each weapon had been tested on countless worlds. This was the power that had built the Empire. "All ships report ready, Admiral," came the announcement from the communications officer. "Begin final preparations," Admiral Krextal ordered. "I want complete tactical analysis of the target system. Map every asteroid, every moon, every artificial satellite." The fleet's advanced sensors reached across the galaxy, studying the Sol system in detail. They found exactly what they expected. A few small space stations orbiting the third planet. Some basic satellites for communication. A handful of crude probes exploring the outer planets. "Their defensive capabilities?" the Admiral asked. "Minimal," reported the tactical officer. "They have no orbital weapons platforms, no energy shields protecting their planet. Their most advanced military vessels are confined to their planet's surface and cannot even reach space." Admiral Krextal felt satisfaction flow through his body. This would indeed be easy. The humans would not even be able to fight back. What about their population centers? He continued. Concentrated in large settlements across their continents. We estimate approximately 8 billion individuals. Perfect for our labor requirements. The admiral began planning the conquest in his mind. They would approach the system slowly, giving the humans time to see their doom approaching. Then he would broadcast the standard conquest message demanding surrender. The humans would probably panic and beg for mercy. After they surrendered, his ships would land and begin the processing. The strongest humans would be taken for slave labor. The rest would be relocated to controlled areas. Their technology would be studied and catalogued, though there was probably nothing worth learning. Within a few years, Earth would become another productive world in the Empire. Its humans would work in the mines and factories, grateful for the honor of serving their Zephyrian masters. Sir, we have also detected other species in nearby systems, the tactical officer reported. Several civilizations have been observing this system from a distance. Excellent, Admiral Krextal replied. They will witness the power of the Empire. Word will spread that the Zephyrians are not to be challenged. This conquest would serve multiple purposes. Not only would they gain a new world and billions of slaves, but they would also send a message to every other species in the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire was unstoppable. All ships prepare for hyperspace jump, the Admiral commanded. Set course for the Sol system. We will approach from the outer edge and give these humans time to appreciate their fate. The massive fleet began to move. One by one, the ships activated their hyperspace drives, tearing holes in reality itself. The sight was magnificent. 50,000 vessels disappearing in flashes of blue light, heading toward their destiny. Admiral Krextal was the last to jump. He stood on his bridge, looking out at the empty space where his fleet had been moments before. Soon, this region would be remembered as the launching point for the greatest conquest in Imperial history. Hyperspace jump in 10 seconds, his navigator announced. The Admiral smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The humans had no idea what was coming for them. They were probably going about their daily lives completely unaware that their world was about to change forever. Execute jump, he ordered. The Eternal Dominion leaped into hyperspace, following its fleet toward Earth. In just a few days, they would arrive at the target system and begin the final phase of human independence. Admiral Krextal settled into his command chair, already composing the victory message he would send back to the Emperor. This conquest would earn him a place in the highest ranks of Imperial nobility. The primitive humans would make excellent slaves, and their planet would serve the Empire well. He had no way of knowing that the 50-year-old survey data was completely wrong. He had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this moment. And he could never have imagined what was waiting for his fleet in the Sol system. The greatest military force in galactic history was about to learn why some sleeping giants should never be awakened. Deep beneath the Colorado Mountains, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the largest holographic display ever constructed. The chamber was carved from solid rock, its walls lined with quantum processors that hummed with barely contained energy. The display showed the entire galaxy with thousands of red dots marking hostile alien civilizations. "Ma'am, we're detecting massive fleet movements in the Zephyrian Empire," reported Lieutenant Commander Martinez from his station. "Our deep space monitors are picking up hyperspace signatures." Sarah Chen had been expecting this day for 27 years. Ever since the first alien signal had been detected by the Deep Space Monitoring Array, humanity had been preparing. What the galaxy didn't know was that humans had been listening to their communications for decades. "Show me the fleet composition," Admiral Chen ordered. The holographic display shifted, showing the Zephyrian formation. 50,000 ships all moving toward Earth. Each vessel was rendered in perfect detail by humanity's quantum surveillance network. "Jesus Christ," whispered Dr. Emily Watson, the head of the Quantum Defense Project. "They're not taking any chances." Admiral Chen remained calm. She had seen this scenario played out in thousands of computer simulations. The Zephyrians were following their standard conquest pattern, overwhelming force designed to crush resistance before it could form. "Estimated time of arrival?" she asked. 4 days, 18 hours, Martinez replied. They'll drop out of hyperspace, at the edge of our solar system. Admiral Chen nodded. Everything was proceeding exactly as predicted. The aliens were using 50-year-old intelligence data, completely unaware of what humanity had become. The last alien survey of Earth had been conducted in 1975. Back then, humans were indeed primitive by galactic standards. Chemical rockets, basic electronics, early computer systems. The aliens had cataloged humanity as a species that would take centuries to develop dangerous technology. They had no idea how wrong they were. The breakthrough had come in 2010 when Dr. James Harrison discovered how to manipulate quantum fields at the macroscopic level. Within 5 years, humanity had mastered zero-point energy extraction. Within 10 years, they had developed faster-than-light communication. Within 15 years, they had created weapons that could tear holes in space itself. The transformation had been kept absolutely secret. To the outside galaxy, Earth still appeared primitive. The old satellites continued broadcasting simple electromagnetic signals. The space stations looked like basic metal constructions. Even the moon bases were disguised to appear like small research outposts. But hidden beneath this facade was a technological revolution that had turned humanity into something unprecedented in galactic history. Status report on the quantum defense grid, Admiral Chen requested. All systems online and fully charged, reported Colonel Sarah Kim from the Weapons Division. We have 47 primary installations operational. Each one has been tested and calibrated. The quantum defense grid was humanity's greatest secret. 47 installations hidden across Earth, the Moon, and Mars, each one capable of generating directed quantum disruption fields. The technology was based on Dr. Harrison's discovery that reality itself could be manipulated at the subatomic level. When activated, the grid could create localized areas where the fundamental laws of physics simply stopped working. Matter would lose cohesion. Energy would dissipate into other dimensions. Anything caught in the field would simply cease to exist. And our intelligence on the Zephyrian fleet? Admiral Chen continued. Dr. Watson pulled up detailed schematics of the alien ships. We've been monitoring their technology for decades. Their shields operate on electromagnetic principles. Their armor uses metallic composites. Their weapons are plasma-based energy systems, all of which are completely useless against quantum disruption. Admiral Chen noted with satisfaction. The aliens had built their military around conventional physics. Their shields could deflect energy weapons and kinetic projectiles. Their armor could withstand tremendous heat and pressure. Their ships were marvels of engineering that could survive in any normal combat environment. But they had never encountered anything like humanity's quantum weapons. Ma'am, we're also ready to implement Protocol 7 if necessary, added General Robert Hayes, commander of the Terran Defense Forces. Protocol 7 was humanity's backup plan. If the quantum defense grid somehow failed, Earth had 36 other weapon systems ready to activate. Gravity manipulators that could crush ships like tin cans, time dilation fields that could slow enemy vessels to a crawl, dimensional disruptors that could banish entire fleets to parallel universes. Admiral Chen had insisted on multiple backup systems. She refused to let humanity's survival depend on a single technology, no matter how advanced. What about the other alien civilizations watching this system? She asked. Lieutenant Commander Martinez checked his displays. We've detected observation posts from 17 different species. They're all maintaining safe distances, probably waiting to see how the conquest unfold. Perfect, Admiral Chen replied. They'll get quite a show. The other alien species had been monitoring Earth for various reasons. Some were potential allies who opposed Zephyrian expansion. Others were opportunists waiting to claim whatever the Zephyrians left behind. A few were simply curious about how the conquest would proceed. All of them were about to witness something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Admiral, we're receiving the first Zephyrian communication attempts, Martinez reported. They're trying to establish contact with our governments. Let them wait, Admiral Chen said. We'll respond when they arrive in system. She walked over to the main display and studied the approaching alien fleet. 50,000 ships represented the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. The Zephyrians had brought enough firepower to sterilize 100 worlds. Under normal circumstances, such a fleet would be unstoppable. Earth's conventional military would last perhaps minutes against even a single Zephyrian dreadnought. The mere aliens had weapons that could crack continents and shields that could deflect nuclear weapons. But these were not normal circumstances. Humanity had spent 27 years preparing for this moment. Every possible scenario had been analyzed. Every potential weakness in their defense had been identified and addressed. Every backup plan had a backup plan. Dr. Watson, how long will it take to charge the grid to full power? Admiral Chen asked. 6 hours from activation command, Watson replied. But we can maintain full power for up to 72 hours if necessary. It won't be necessary, Admiral Chen said quietly. This will be over in seconds. She had run the calculations herself. The moment the Zephyrian fleet entered the solar system, humanity's quantum sensors would track every ship simultaneously. The quantum defense grid would fire in perfect coordination, creating overlapping disruption fields that would encompass the entire enemy formation. The aliens would have no time to react, no opportunity to retreat, no chance to send a warning back to their empire. Admiral, should we attempt to contact other human governments? Colonel Kim asked. All governments have already been briefed, Admiral Chen replied. The President, the Prime Ministers, the Secretary General of the United Nations. They all know what's coming. The world's leaders had been surprisingly calm when briefed on the situation. After the initial shock of learning about alien civilizations, most had simply asked what they could do to help. The answer was simple. Stay out of the way and let the professionals handle it. Ma'am, we're getting some interesting readings from our deep space monitors, Martinez said. The Zephyrian fleet is maintaining perfect formation. They're not even bothering with reconnaissance. They think we're primitives, Admiral Chen observed. They have no idea we can track their every movement. The aliens' arrogance would be their downfall. They were approaching Earth with the same tactics they had used to conquer 17 other civilizations. Overwhelming force, minimal caution, complete confidence in their technological superiority. Against any other species, it would have worked perfectly. Against humanity, it was suicide. Admiral Chen looked around the command center at her team. These men and women represented the best minds Earth had to offer. Scientists, engineers, military officers, and intelligence specialists who had devoted their careers to this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, in 4 days, we're going to show the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. We're going to demonstrate that some sleeping giants should never be awakened. The countdown had begun. The Zephyrian fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system in perfect formation. 50,000 warships materialized in the void, their hulls gleaming under the distant light of Earth's sun. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history, stretching across millions of cubic miles of space. Admiral Krextall stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, watching with satisfaction as his fleet took position. Each ship reported ready status. Their weapons were charged, their shields raised, their sensors scanning the primitive solar system ahead. Tactical report, he commanded. Sir, we detect minimal activity in the system, his tactical officer replied. A few basic satellites orbiting. The third planet. Some crude space stations. Nothing that poses any threat to our forces. The Admiral's mandibles clicked with amusement. The humans had no idea what was about to happen to them. Their primitive sensors probably couldn't even detect the Zephyrian fleet yet. Commence standard approach pattern, Admiral Krextall ordered. Advance at quarter speed. I want these humans to see us coming. The massive fleet began moving toward Earth's orbit. Each ship was a masterpiece of destruction, armed with plasma cannons that could level mountains and protected by shields that could deflect nuclear weapons. The smallest vessel in the formation could conquer most civilizations single-handedly. Deep beneath Colorado's mountains, Admiral Sarah Chen watched the alien fleet's approach on her holographic display. Every ship was tracked in perfect detail by humanity's quantum sensors. Their formation, their speed, their weapon configurations, All of it was being analyzed by the most advanced computers ever built. "They're taking their time," observed Dr. Watson. "Probably trying to intimidate us." "Let them," Admiral Chen replied, calmly. "The longer they take to get here, the more time we have to prepare." Around the command center, her team worked with quiet efficiency. Every system was checked and double-checked. The quantum defense grid was fully charged and ready. Backup systems stood by in case they were needed. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the lead alien vessel," Lieutenant Commander Martinez reported. "They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies." "Put it through," Admiral Chen ordered. The main display flickered, then showed the image of Admiral Krextal on his bridge. The Zephyrian officer looked exactly as expected, tall, scaled, with multiple arms and eyes that glowed with arrogant confidence. "Primitive inhabitants of the third planet," Admiral Krextal began, his voice translated by automatic systems. "I am Admiral Krextal of the Zephyrian Empire. You are looking upon the greatest military force in galactic history." Admiral Chen listened without expression. The alien's speech was following the standard pattern used by the Empire for centuries. Intimidation followed by demands for surrender. "Your species has been selected for integration into our empire," the Admiral continued. "You will submit immediately to Imperial authority. Your governments will dissolve. Your military forces will stand down. Your population will be relocated to designated areas for processing." Several officers in the command center shifted uncomfortably, but Admiral Chen remained calm. She had heard similar speeches in the recordings of 17 other conquest attempts. "Resistance is futile and will result in the destruction of your cities," Admiral Krextal continued. "You have no weapons that can harm us. You have no defenses that can protect you. Submit now, and your species will be allowed to serve the Empire as laborers. Resist, and your world will be burned to ash." The transmission paused, waiting for Earth's response. "Should I open a channel, Admiral?" Martinez asked. "Yes," Admiral Chen replied. She stepped forward, facing the camera that would broadcast her response to the alien fleet. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Command," she began, her voice steady and professional. "You have entered our solar system without permission and threatened our world. This is unacceptable." On his bridge, Admiral Krextal stared at the small human female who dared to speak back to him. The creature was tiny compared to a Zephyrian warrior, probably weighing less than one of his arms. That such a primitive being would challenge the Empire was almost amusing. "You have exactly 30 seconds to reverse course and leave this system," Admiral Chen continued. "Failure to comply will result in the complete destruction of your fleet. This is your only warning." Admiral Krextal's laughter echoed through his bridge. His officers joined in, their voices creating a chorus of amusement. The idea that these primitive mammals could threaten the Imperial fleet was beyond ridiculous. "Human female," Admiral Krextal replied. "You are addressing the Admiral of 50,000 warships. Each one of my vessels could destroy your entire planet. Your threats are meaningless." 20 seconds, Admiral Chen said. "Simply dot the alien." Admiral gestured dismissively. "Your bravado is impressive but foolish. We have conquered 17 star systems. We have destroyed civilizations far more advanced than yours. You cannot comprehend the power you are facing." Admiral Chen glanced at the countdown display on her screen. 10 seconds. "This is your last chance to surrender," Admiral Krextal declared. "Kneel before the Empire, and your deaths will be swift." 5 seconds, Admiral Chen announced. The alien admiral's eyes narrowed. The human was either insane or incredibly stupid. No primitive species had ever maintained such defiance when faced with Imperial might. "Time's up," Admiral Chen said quietly. She turned to Colonel Kim at the weapons station. "Activate the quantum defense grid. Fire when ready." "Grid activation confirmed," Colonel Kim replied, her hands moving across the control panel. "All installations. Report ready. Targeting solutions locked. Firing in 3, 2, 1. Admiral Krextal was about to issue the order to advance when his tactical officer suddenly screamed a warning. "Sir, unknown energy readings throughout the system. Massive power spike detected. What kind of energy? The Admiral demanded. Unknown. Sir, the signatures don't match anything in our database. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Across the Zephyrian fleet, sensor operators were reporting the same impossible readings. Energy patterns were appearing throughout the Sol system, on the third planet, on its moon, on the fourth planet. Power levels that exceeded anything in Imperial records. Defensive positions, Admiral Krextal shouted. All ships raise maximum shields. Charge weapons. But it was already too late. On Earth, the Moon, and Mars, 47 hidden installations activated simultaneously. Each one was disguised as natural rock formations or abandoned mining equipment. None of them appeared on any alien sensor as a threat. But beneath their camouflaged exteriors, the most advanced weapons ever created began to fire. Concentrated beams of quantum energy lanced out from the installations, moving faster than light itself. The beams didn't travel through normal space. They existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, passing through any physical barrier as if it weren't there. Admiral Krextal watched in horror as the first beam reached his fleet. The energy struck the dreadnought Imperial Wrath, one of the most powerful ships ever built. Its shields, designed to deflect any known weapon, simply ignored the quantum beam. The beam passed through the ship's armor like it was made of paper. It passed through the hull, through the corridors, through the crew quarters. Wherever the quantum energy touched, matter simply stopped existing. The Imperial Wrath didn't explode. It didn't burn. It simply began to disappear, molecule by molecule, as if it were being erased from reality itself. What's happening to that ship? Admiral Krextal screamed. His tactical officer stared at his instruments in terror. Sir, it's just gone. The entire forward section has just vanished. There's nothing there. More beams struck other ships throughout the fleet. Each quantum beam created a cascade effect, causing matter to lose cohesion over a wide area. Entire vessels began dissolving into their component atoms, which then scattered across multiple dimensions. Return fire, Admiral Krextal ordered desperately. Target the source of those beams. His ships opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons erupted with enough energy to destroy continents. Missile salvos launched with warheads that could crack moons. The combined firepower of 50,000 warships concentrated on the hidden human installations. The weapons struck the camouflaged positions and did absolutely nothing. The quantum installations existed partially outside normal space. Energy weapons passed right through them. Kinetic projectiles struck empty air. The most advanced military technology in the galaxy was completely useless against humanity's defenses. Sir, we've lost 3,000 ships, his tactical officer reported, his voice cracking with panic. The beams are cutting through our formations, like they're not even there. Admiral Krextal stared at his display as more and more red dots disappeared. His magnificent fleet, the pride of the Zephyrian Empire, was being systematically erased from existence. Full retreat, he screamed. All ships withdraw immediately. Emergency hyperspace jump. But the quantum beams were faster than any hyperspace drive. Even as his ships tried to flee, the invisible energy continued to sweep through their formations, dissolving everything it touched. In the command center beneath Colorado, Admiral Chen watched the alien fleet disappear from her displays. The engagement had lasted. In the depths of space where the Zephyrian fleet had been moments before, only empty void remained. Not even debris marked the passing of 50,000 warships. The quantum disruption beams had been thorough in their work, erasing every trace of the Imperial Armada from reality itself. The few escape pods that had managed to launch were now being collected by sleek human drones that appeared from nowhere. Each drone was the size of a small fighter craft, but moved with impossible grace through the vacuum of space. Their hulls were black as midnight, absorbing all light and electromagnetic signals. Inside one of the captured escape pods, Admiral Krextal pressed himself against the small viewport, staring at the place where his mighty fleet had been. His forearms trembled with shock and disbelief. His 6 eyes could not process what they had witnessed. How? He whispered to himself. How is this possible? The escape pod shuddered as a human drone attached itself to the hull. Mechanical arms extended from the drone's body, creating an airtight seal around the pod's hatch. There was a hiss of equalizing pressure. Then the hatch opened to reveal a corridor lined with soft blue lights. A voice spoke in perfect Zephyrian through hidden speakers. "Admiral Krextall, please exit your escape pod and proceed down the corridor. You will not be harmed if you comply." The Admiral hesitated. In 3,000 years of military service, he had never been a prisoner. The very concept was alien to him. Zephyrian officers either won their battles or died fighting. Surrender was not part of their culture. But the alternative was floating in space until his life support ran out. Slowly, Admiral Krextall emerged from the pod and walked down the corridor. The walls were smooth and featureless, made from some material he didn't recognize. The blue lights provided gentle illumination without creating shadows. Everything was clean, sterile, and utterly alien. The corridor ended at a large, circular chamber where other Zephyrian survivors were being held. About 30 officers and crew members sat on simple benches, all wearing expressions of shock and confusion. None of them spoke. None of them could understand what had happened to their fleet. Admiral Krextall took a seat among his fellow survivors and tried to make sense of the situation. According to their intelligence, humans were primitive creatures barely capable of spaceflight. They had no advanced weapons, no energy shields, no military technology worth mentioning. Yet somehow these same primitive humans had just destroyed the largest military force in galactic history. "Admiral," whispered his tactical officer who had managed to escape in another pod. "What kind of weapons were those? I've never seen anything like them." "I don't know," Admiral Krextall replied quietly. "The energy patterns were unlike anything in our database. Our shields couldn't stop them. Our armor couldn't resist them. It was like they were attacking us from another dimension." A new voice interrupted their conversation. "In a sense, that's exactly what we were doing." The Zephyrians turned to see a human female entering the chamber. She was small and frail-looking by their standards, probably weighing less than a Zephyrian child. But she carried herself with unmistakable authority. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen," she announced. "I commanded the defense of Earth." Admiral Krextall stood slowly, his massive frame towering over the tiny human. Even in captivity, his military bearing remained intact. "You are the one who destroyed my fleet," he stated. "Yes," Admiral Chen replied simply. "Though I gave you fair warning to withdraw." "Fair warning?" Admiral Krextall's voice rose in anger. "You spoke of destroying 50,000 warships as if it were a simple matter. No species in the galaxy has such power." "Apparently you were wrong about that," Admiral Chen observed calmly. She gestured, and the wall behind her shimmered and became transparent, revealing a view of space. The Zephyrians could see Earth in the distance, blue and beautiful, and completely untouched by their attempted conquest. "Your intelligence about humanity was 50 years out of date," Admiral Chen continued. "You assumed we were still the primitive species your scouts observed in 1975. That was a significant miscalculation." Admiral Krextall stared at the small human with growing unease. There was something in her manner, a quiet confidence, that suggested capabilities far beyond what he had expected. "What kind of weapons did you use?" he asked. "Quantum disruption beams," Admiral Chen replied. "They operate by manipulating the fundamental structure of reality. Your ships weren't destroyed in the conventional sense. They were simply erased from existence." The Zephyrian officers exchanged glances of horror. Weapons that could erase matter from reality itself were beyond their understanding. Such technology shouldn't be possible even in theory. "How long have you possessed such weapons?" Admiral Krextall demanded. "We began development 27 years ago," Admiral Chen answered. "When we first detected your Empire's communications and realized hostile aliens existed." "Impossible," the Admiral protested. "No species advances that quickly. Technological development takes centuries, millennia." Admiral Chen smiled slightly. "You clearly don't understand human nature." When we're threatened, we adapt very quickly. Your empire made the mistake of giving us advance warning. She waved her hand, and the transparent wall displayed images of the Zephyrian Empire. Star maps showed the locations of Imperial worlds, fleet bases, and military installations. We've been monitoring your empire for decades, Admiral Chen continued. We know the location of every major world, every fleet, every weapon installation. We know your military doctrine, your expansion patterns, your technological limitations. Admiral Krextall felt cold dread settling in his chest. If the humans had been watching the Empire for decades, if they knew so much about Zephyrian capabilities. Your quantum weapons, he said slowly. How many do you have? Enough, Admiral Chen replied. The installations you encountered today are just our local defense systems. We have much more powerful weapons available if needed. The implication hung in the air like a death sentence. The humans hadn't even used their full military capability. They had destroyed the Empire's greatest fleet with what amounted to defensive installations. What do you want from us? Admiral Krextall asked, his voice barely a whisper. Information, Admiral Chen replied. We want complete intelligence about your empire. Military deployments, government structure, technological capabilities, expansion plans. Everything. And if we refuse? Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. Then you'll remain prisoners indefinitely while we gather the information ourselves. We have very advanced intelligence-gathering methods. She gestured again, and the display showed images of other alien civilizations. Dozens of different species, all with their own territories and technologies. You see, Admiral, your empire isn't the only hostile force in the galaxy. We've identified 17 different civilizations that might threaten Earth. We've been preparing countermeasures for all of them. Admiral Krextall studied the display with professional interest despite his situation. Some of the species shown were known enemies of the Empire. Others were potential threats that the Zephyrians had been planning to conquer eventually. You intend to fight all of them? He asked. Only if they force us to, Admiral Chen replied. We prefer peaceful coexistence when possible, but we will not allow Earth to be threatened. She turned to face the group of prisoners directly. Which brings us to your current situation. Your empire just lost its most powerful fleet. Your military leadership is probably in chaos right now, trying to understand what happened. Admiral Krextall knew she was right. News of the fleet's destruction would reach the Imperial capital within days. The Emperor would demand answers that no one could provide. The military hierarchy would fragment as different factions tried to assign blame. You have a choice, Admiral Chen continued. You can cooperate with us and help prevent further bloodshed, or you can remain silent and watch your empire destroy itself in confusion and panic. What kind of cooperation? Admiral Krextall asked cautiously. We want you to return to your empire as our ambassadors, Admiral Chen explained. You'll carry a message from humanity to your government. A simple message. Earth is under human protection. Any further acts of aggression will result in consequences your empire cannot survive. The Zephyrian admiral considered this proposal. If he returned to the empire with such a message, he would probably be executed as a traitor. But if he remained silent, the empire might launch another attack and suffer an even worse defeat. And what guarantee do we have that you won't simply destroy our empire regardless? He asked. None, Admiral Chen admitted. You'll have to trust that humanity prefers peace to war. But consider this. We could have destroyed your home worlds at any time during the past 27 years. We chose not to. She was right, Admiral, Krextall realized. If the humans had weapons capable of erasing matter from existence, they could have struck the Empire's core worlds without warning. The fact that they hadn't suggested they were willing to show restraint. I will consider your proposal, he said finally. Admiral Chen nodded. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, we'll make the decision for you. She turned and walked toward the chamber's exit, then paused. Oh, and Admiral? You should know that representatives from 16 other alien civilizations observed your fleet's destruction. Word is already spreading. The news spread across the galaxy at faster than light speed. carried by automated probes that appeared in every major star system simultaneously. Each probe broadcast the same message in hundreds of different languages, ensuring that every spacefaring civilization would receive it clearly. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Command representing the human species of Earth," the message began. "On this date, a Zephyrian Imperial fleet of 50,000 warships attacked our solar system. The fleet has been completely destroyed. This serves as notice that Earth is under human protection." The message continued with clinical precision. "Any act of aggression against Earth or humanity will result in immediate retaliation. We possess weapons capable of erasing matter from existence itself. We have been monitoring 17 hostile civilizations and have prepared appropriate countermeasures for each." On the bridge of the Korthani research vessel Silent Observer, Captain Telmara watched the message with growing amazement. Her species had been studying the Sol system for decades, fascinated by humanity's rapid technological development. But even they had not suspected the true extent of human advancement. "Captain, are you seeing this?" her science officer whispered. "They destroyed 50,000 Zephyrian ships in 2.3 seconds. Captain Telmara nodded slowly. The Korthani had observed the entire battle through their advanced sensors. They had watched the impossible happen. Primitive humans obliterating the galaxy's most powerful military force with weapons that operated beyond known physics. "Send a priority message to the homeworld," she ordered. "Recommend immediate diplomatic contact with Earth. Classification: critical opportunity." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy as various alien civilizations absorbed the implications of humanity's demonstration. The Zephyrian Empire had been a dominant force for millennia, their military might unchallenged by any known species. The fact that humans had destroyed their greatest fleet so easily sent shockwaves through every government and military command. In the imperial capital of Zephyria Prime, Emperor Krexmal stood before a holographic display showing the empty space where his fleet had been. The most powerful ruler in the galaxy was shaking with rage and fear. "How many ships did we lose?" he demanded. "All of them, Your Imperial Majesty," replied Grand Admiral Vorthok, his voice barely steady. 50,000 vessels, gone. Just gone. "And survivors?" "Approximately 30 escape pods were captured by the humans. Admiral Krextal is among the prisoners." Emperor Krexmal's claws scraped against his throne. In 3,000 years of Imperial expansion, they had never suffered such a devastating defeat. Entire star systems had fallen to smaller Zephyrian fleets. Now their greatest armada had been erased by a species they had dismissed as primitives. "What do we know about these weapons?" the Emperor asked. "Nothing, Your Majesty," admitted Science Advisor Melkira. "Our sensors detected massive energy readings just before the fleet was destroyed, but the signatures don't match anything in our database. It's as if the humans are using physics we don't understand." Before the Emperor could respond, an aide rushed into the throne room carrying a communication device. "Your Majesty, we're receiving a transmission from the human solar system. It's Admiral Krextal." The Emperor gestured for the message to be played. The holographic display flickered, then showed Admiral Krextal standing in what appeared to be a human prison facility. He looked unharmed, but deeply shaken. "Your Imperial Majesty," Admiral Krextal began, "I am speaking as an ambassador for the human species. They have offered to return me and the other survivors to deliver their message." The Admiral paused, clearly struggling with what he had to say next. "The humans demand that the Empire cease all aggressive actions against Earth and humanity. In exchange, they will not retaliate against our worlds. They have weapons we cannot comprehend, Your Majesty. Weapons that can erase entire fleets from existence. I recommend accepting their terms." The message ended, leaving the throne room in stunned silence. "Your Majesty," Grand Admiral Vorthok said carefully, "we could assemble another fleet. The Empire still has millions of ships across our territories." Emperor Krexmal considered this. But if the humans could destroy 50,000 ships in seconds, what could they do to an entire empire? "No," he said finally. "Send a response to the humans. Tell them the Empire accepts their terms. Meanwhile on Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the same command center where she had witnessed humanity's first interstellar battle. The holographic displays now showed a galaxy in upheaval. Alien governments were frantically trying to understand what humanity's emergence meant for the balance of power. Admiral, we're receiving diplomatic communications from 47 different civilizations, Lieutenant Commander Martinez reported. Most are requesting formal contact. Several are offering trade agreements. And the hostile species? Admiral, Chen asked. Radio silence from most of them, Martinez replied. Though our deep space monitors indicate significant fleet movements, they appear to be withdrawing from Earth's region of the galaxy. Admiral Chen wasn't surprised. News of the Zephyrian fleet's destruction had demonstrated that humanity possessed weapons beyond galactic understanding. Even the most aggressive species would think twice before challenging such power. Ma'am, we're also receiving messages from some very interesting sources, Dr. Watson added. The Altrurian Collective wants to discuss defensive alliances. The Vegan Trade Consortium is offering economic partnerships. Even some former Zephyrian subject races are reaching out. Admiral Chen studied the diplomatic requests with careful attention. Humanity had been thrust onto the galactic stage without warning. How they handled these first contacts would determine Earth's place in the cosmic community for generations to come. Prepare response teams for each friendly contact, she ordered. But keep our defensive systems at full readiness. Not everyone out there will be happy about humanity's emergence. Over the following weeks, the galaxy began to adjust to its new reality. The Zephyrian Empire, stripped of its aura of invincibility, found itself facing rebellions on multiple worlds. Species that had lived in fear of Imperial expansion suddenly realized they had a potential protector in humanity. The first official diplomatic contact came from the Korthani Federation, a peaceful alliance of scientific races that had long opposed Zephyrian expansion. Captain Telmara personally delivered their government's formal greeting to Earth. On behalf of the Korthani Federation and our allied species, she announced during the historic first meeting, we welcome humanity to the galactic community. We have observed your species' development with great interest and hope for a peaceful relationship between our peoples. Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's first ambassador to the galaxy, responded with carefully chosen words. Humanity seeks peaceful coexistence with all species. We have no desire for conquest or empire. We simply want to ensure that Earth and her people remain safe from those who would do us harm. The meeting was broadcast across the galaxy, marking the beginning of a new era. Within 6 months, humanity had established formal diplomatic relations with over 100 alien civilizations. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges were arranged. Scientific cooperation began on projects that would benefit multiple species. But the galaxy's predators had also taken notice. 3 aggressive empires began forming an alliance, pooling their resources to develop weapons that might counter humanity's quantum technology. Pirates and raiders gave Earth's region of space a wide berth, but they whispered among themselves about the day when human defenses might be overcome. Admiral Chen was well aware of these developments. The quantum defense grid continued to be upgraded and expanded. New weapon systems were developed in secret. Humanity's intelligence network grew to monitor every potential threat in the galaxy. We've become the galactic peacekeepers whether we wanted to or not, she observed during a briefing with Earth's leadership. Every species that opposes aggression looks to us for protection. Every aggressive empire sees us as the primary obstacle to their expansion. President Martinez nodded grimly. The price of being the most powerful species in the galaxy. Power brings responsibility, Admiral Chen agreed, but it also brings opportunity. We have the chance to shape the galaxy's future, to create a community where peaceful species can thrive without fear of conquest. She looked at the holographic display showing Earth's place in the cosmic community. Humanity had gone from an unknown species to the galaxy's most influential civilization in less than a year. The transformation had been dramatic and irreversible. The galaxy will never be the same, she concluded, and neither will we. In the depths of space, automated human probes continued their silent vigil, watching for signs of aggression against Earth or her allies. The message they carried was simple but absolute. Humanity would not tolerate threats to peace. The age of unchallenged galactic empires was over. A new power had emerged, one that proved the universe's most dangerous predators could be domesticated or eliminated. In the blink of an eye, Earth had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians. And the galaxy was slowly learning that some sleeping giants, once awakened, never go back to sleep.